Are you thinking of moving to Austin, Texas? From being surrounded by award-winning food trucks and restaurants that you probably didn't even know exist, to some things taking place in Austin that might honestly feel like a social experiment. And yes, there's one reason why now might be the best time in years to move to Austin, Texas. Let's break down the real pros and cons of living in Austin, starting with a few that even the locals don't agree on. All right, now before we jump into this list, I gotta let you know that a lot of these pros and cons videos just scratch the surface on why these things are good or bad for the city. I'm gonna go a little bit more in depth in this video and give you tactical, strategic tips for when you make the move to Austin, Texas. Something that irked me when I first moved here, and after being here over 10 years, I thought I'd get over it. I really haven't. And that is the lack of pro sports teams in Austin. So I might be a little bit biased because I moved here from Atlanta, where I was able to watch the Braves, the Hawks, the Falcons, pretty much whenever I wanted. But when you move here, you need to understand that you are now in Longhorn country and people here bleed burnt orange. So as someone who went to college at the University of Arizona, it was hard for me to embrace the Longhorn culture when I first moved here. But over the years, I just decided to embrace it and own it. So I do root for the Longhorns now when I can, unless they're playing one of my teams, of course. But we're not completely short on pro sports teams. So in 2021, Austin FC, the pro soccer team, came to Austin, and it has been amazing for the city. I highly recommend you go check out Q2 Stadium, which is up near the Domain. They embrace the local community. They've got tons of local restaurants, local shops, and really, it's an amazing scene for adults, for kids, anyone who's a fan of sports. And one cool thing maybe to look forward to down the line, probably not in the near future, but long-term future, is that Austin's been lobbying for expansion teams in both the WNBA and the MLB, Major League Baseball, which would be exciting for me. I'm a huge baseball fan, and finally maybe the Braves would come to Austin. I'm not holding my breath. We'll see if that happens in the future, but for now, if you live in Austin, you better learn how to hook them. It feels like a full-fledged buyer's market in Austin right now. Now here's the thing, Austin has been plagued with affordability issues over the last few years, but if you're looking to make the move right now, this might be such a good time when it comes to having leverage as a home buyer. The tale of the two markets Austin has experienced over the last few years could not be more different. You backtrack to 2020 to 2022 when inventory was nearly non-existent. Buyers were lining up for showings. They were waiving inspections, waiving appraisals, doing whatever they needed to do, whether it was going $50,000, $100,000, $200,000 plus dollars over the asking price to get the home. And one of the biggest things when it comes to new construction homes, you had to get on a wait list back then, and there was a very slim chance that you were actually getting the house you wanted. Now, we saw home prices peak in the Austin area around summer 2022 when we saw the median price around $570,000. You fast forward to this year, 2025, we're looking at 5+ months inventory pretty much consistently, which is around 60% above pre-pandemic levels. And the good thing for you, someone who's maybe making the move to Austin, the median home price here is now around $450,000. Recently, we've seen upwards of 17,000 homes on the Austin MLS, which is absolutely unheard of. And here's the best way I could put it, buyers are getting deals. I mentioned during that peak pandemic time when people were getting on wait lists, you see here, available, available, available. You go to any new construction community, you see a lot of those signs. Builders are giving homes away. They're offering closing cost incentives. They're slashing prices. They're giving low fixed interest rates, doing so many things to get buyers in, which is why we're telling people, you know, now could be that time to jump on opportunities in the Austin area. So if you're watching this as someone's like, I want to move to Austin, maybe to the outskirts though, a lot of those suburbs that have been or have become maybe unaffordable over the last 2 years have now come back down to realistic levels and could be your next landing spot. All right, moving on to pro number 2, unmatched access to natural water with a little asterisk there of for a landlocked city. Now, of course, people move here from Florida, California, New York, and one of their big complaints is there's no beach. But if you look pretty much anywhere, you will find so many different bodies of water, natural bodies of water to go swimming in. So if the beach is something you absolutely need, well, Austin might not be the place for you, but wait till I show you what you can do within such a short radius of downtown. So Austin really has this rare combination of grass-fed springs like Barton Springs Pool and Deep Eddy Pool, which are both in downtown Austin. You've also got the river-lake combos, kind of like what's right behind me, and I'm gonna give you the whole breakdown so you understand the lay of the land when it comes to the different bodies of water near Austin. And then, of course, you've got several hidden gems, one of which, Jacob's Well in Wimberley, and throughout the Barton Creek Greenbelt, so many different bodies of water to go cool off in the summer. What is happening here? Look how close this thing is to me. All right, so if you live here, you've got to understand what bodies of water you're surrounded by, because technically it's all part of the Colorado River, the lower Colorado River. But right behind me with the downtown backdrop right here, this is what's called Lady Bird Lake for the OGs who are from Austin. It was called Town Lake, but it's changed names. This is where you're gonna find people kayaking, stand-up paddleboarding. There's a few cool little battery motorized boats, but you're not gonna be on speedboats or gas boats here in this lake, and you're actually not even supposed to swim in this lake. As a matter of fact, in one of the most dog-friendly cities in the country, my dog actually used to go in the water right here when I would take him to the park. This was several years ago, but they've highly discouraged dogs from going in the water. There's this blue algae. Make sure you read up on it before bringing your pups to Lady Bird Lake. Then as you move west, there's a dam right around the Westlake area, which turns into Lake Austin. Lake Austin's a constant level lake. You're gonna find a lot of people boating here, party boats, speed boats, jet skiing, multi-million-dollar mansions along that lake. If you head west in Lake Austin, you actually hit Pennybacker Bridge, which is a beautiful bridge. It's one of the most well-known landmarks, some great sightseeing up there too, so definitely check that out if you're here. Then as you continue, you've got Lake Travis. Now, Lake Travis is a wild card because oftentimes the water levels are extremely low, especially over the last 2 years where we've been in a heavy drought. I have seen that lake go way up when we get big rains, but right now it's still, you see so many dry patches. If you buy a house in this area, make sure if you're in a cove that you understand your lakefront property might be dirt front for several years. People are still going there. There is still plenty of water there, so you can still go on the party boats, surfing, wake surfing, speed boating, swimming, great spot for that. But then if you continue a little bit further, you hit Lake LBJ. Now this is one of the best lakes because it's another constant level lake. It's removed a little bit from the city, and it's part of, when you go out there, you're in Marble Falls, Kingsland, and again, it's wide enough to where there's a ton of jet skiing, boating, swimming on that lake. And if you're looking for a more affordable option, it's still pricey there, but if you're looking for more affordable than Lake Austin, Lake Travis, Lake OBJ might be the one to check out. So as you can see, so many different bodies of water, depending on what temperature you like, what vibe you're looking for in and around the Austin area. And we love to remind our viewers, we created an Austin relocation guide for people just like you that are moving here, looking to get a lay of the land, and want kind of a step up against the competition when it comes to learning about Austin before you step foot in the city. So I'll put a QR code up on the screen right here. Also the links in the description. Check that out. It will be a great roadmap for you before you come to the ATX. All right, for this next con, I figured I'd take you along the ride with me so you can feel the pain that I feel whenever I'm in this area. This con is the traffic. So when we talk about traffic, lack of public transportation is a big contributing factor to that, which I'll get to in a second. But I-35 traffic, literally, if I could avoid this highway at all costs, I would. Now, I'm only here today to bring you along to see, but we're in the middle of the day. This is around 1 p.m. in the afternoon, and coming through downtown, you can pretty much always expect it to be just like this, whether it's 1 o'clock or I've been in traffic like this at 10 p.m. on a weekend night. It's absolutely brutal. The kind of painful part of this is that it's probably going to get worse before it gets any better, if it does. They're talking about a huge expansion. It's coming to I-35 where they're expanding the highway through downtown all the way down close to Slaughter Lane. There's already a ton of construction down in the south part. And again, this continues all the way up toward the Mueller area. Now, aside from I-35, the highways that I would totally avoid, if you can at certain times, are Mopac around rush hour. When you're close to downtown, just north, just south of downtown, it gets absolutely jam-packed. I deal with it every day on the way to work. One good thing that you need to know is these semi-trucks, like the one you see in front of me right there, those are not allowed on Mopac. So you see them all. This is one of the contributing factors to traffic on I-35 is they all have to be here. You see one next to me right here. I'm gonna open the window for you. But we're coming right around near Rainy Street. Again, this is where traffic gets at its worst. From a public transportation standpoint, this is where Austin's really lacking, especially if you're moving here from a big city. I moved here from Atlanta, where we have the MARTA. If you're coming from New York and have the subway or the BART in San Francisco, we've got nothing like that. We do have a metro rail that runs through from downtown all the way up to Leander. However, the capacity is nothing like what this city actually needs. Now, Project Connect was announced. Taxpayers voted on it a few years ago, and this was like a $7+ billion project that was slated to start in Austin. Now, over the years, it's gone so over budget, and there have been so many issues, legal issues, battles with it, that it has completely changed. And it's nothing like what was first proposed to taxpayers, which again is why a lot of those issues persist. So if you're moving to Austin, understand public transportation, if you like using it, not a ton of options here. And if you're gonna be in the car driving on the highways, expect traffic like this. All right, moving on to the next pro, we're talking the food scene in Austin. Now, if you know anything about me, I'm all about the hidden gems. And in a minute, I'm gonna share some of my favorite hidden gems in the Austin area, even introduce you to the owner of a food truck that just ranked at the top of Yelp's best food trucks in the entire country list, so stay tuned for that. So food trucks are really the lifeblood of the food scene here in the Austin area. That's what it feels like. And Austin's not only just killing it in the food truck game, you know, they're known as the food truck capital of the country, but in 2024, we saw 7 Austin restaurants earn Michelin stars. 2 of those restaurants, which you would never think of this, are barbecue. We know the barbecue scene here is insane. More to that in a second, but aside from the 7 restaurants that earned Michelin stars, 14 restaurants earned Bib Gourmand distinctions, which is known for good value and good quality cooking. So the food scene here is really hitting the map strong. And one thing I love is that if you're going on date nights or you're just going out with friends, you don't have to hit the same, you almost feel guilty when you hit the same restaurant more than once because there's so many different options. It makes those outings so much more exciting. And we need to talk barbecue for a second because we know some of the big names, the Franklins, the La Barbecues, but recently some smaller known barbecue restaurants have gotten a lot of publicity, and you don't even have to go to the big name ones to get an amazing barbecue experience. So part of embracing that food scene, the barbecue culture here, when you go to a lot of these barbecue spots, for instance, when you go to Terry Black's, ask them after your meal to tour the smoke pit, and they'll take you through there. They'll show you all the briskets, all the ribs. Might make you a little bit more hungry, but it's a really cool part of being here. And one last thing before I reveal some of those hidden gems. If you are gluten-free, if you are vegan, if you have dietary restrictions, Austin is so friendly to that. My sister and her family, they're all vegan. And when they came to visit, they were blown away by how many options there were all across the city. And again, I'm not into tofu tacos, but if you are, lots of options there here in Austin for you. All right, now let's go meet the owner of hidden gem number 1. All right, I told you I'm gonna reveal the hidden gems, a few hidden gems in Austin. T-Loc Sonora Hot Dogs is by far the top of that list. They actually just ranked one of the top food trucks in the entire country. I'm here with Miguel, who is the owner of T-Loc's, good friend of mine. We've known each other for years. I've been telling people to come here, but why is Austin one of the best food cities in the country?
Well, we moved out to Austin to be part of the food scene and to introduce our product. And Austin people are very supportive with the small food business, and that's why we're here.
Yeah, and would you say this is one of the best food truck cities in the entire country?
Absolutely. You know, I've been other places, but there's a variety of food of all types, and you know, and not only that, people support it, and that's really great about Austin. You know.
Yeah. Again, guys, I can't stress this enough. The burrito here, the carne asada burrito, the Sonoran hot dog. Get over to T-Loc's, and I think your life is going to be changed. All right, so you just met Miguel. I'm going to give you 3 other hidden gems you have to hit. And again, there's probably endless lists of these, but Roll and Smoke Barbecue. I talked about barbecue spots. This one is one that is putting itself on the map, and I guarantee you within the next few years is going to be so widely well known in the Austin area. They've got not only great barbecue, but they do cool little dishes, little specials throughout the week. They just added wings to their menu, smoked wings. So I love Roll and Smoke. Another one, kind of wild card, Julie's Noodles up in the northern part of Austin near 183. You got to go there to try it. They have so many, if you're looking right now, summer, probably not the time for that, but in the winter, big bowl of Chinese noodles is so delicious. And then last, I talked about wings at Roll and Smoke, but can't talk about hidden gems without mentioning Tommy Want Wingy. They've got a few food trucks. They do chicken lollipops. I've done Instagram videos on them in the past. you gotta go to Tommy Wan Wingy and just get here, enjoy the food scene. All right, jumping over to the cons. You'll probably see this on a lot of lists about Austin, Texas. I'm gonna keep it pretty real here, but the summer heat is brutal. To be honest, you never know when these waves of 100+ days are going to start, and it could come as early as March like it did this year, but you usually see it in June, July, and August. But again, don't be surprised if it happens way earlier or way later. In 2024, we saw it continue almost up until November, which made the tail end of the summer and into the fall absolutely brutal. So I made the choice of filming this video outside in the summer. Can't really see my sweat, I feel it, but my head is pretty sweaty right now. It's pretty brutal. Now that I took my hat off, you kind of see the sweat starting to drip down the side of my face, and it is toasty. You know, my daughter has a birthday in the middle of the summer, and every single year, it's a big conversation, almost a debate in our house of what are we gonna do for her birthday, because there's so limited options when it comes to not being outside. Kids wanna be outside in the summer, but you really need to focus on staying in the AC or staying in the water. Now, I'm gonna give you some great opportunities for how to stay in the water later in the video, but again, the heat here is oppressive. And if you're watching this thinking, oh, I can handle it, I've been in hot weather before, please come to Austin in the summer. We've had clients that have moved here and literally told us they regretted it because of dealing with the heat in a summer. Again, sun summers are worse. If we can get a little rain, that's great. 2025 summer, we've had some rain. It hasn't been terrible, but again, we never know when the rain is gonna turn off and the heat is gonna climb into the hundreds and stay there for a while. All right, moving on to the next pro, we can't talk about Austin without mentioning the health and wellness community. Now, this is something that I feel like so many people take for granted here, but it is unmatched. Now, I'm actually at the Whole Foods flagship. If you didn't know, Whole Foods started in Austin, and right downtown, you can come to where it all began. And when I think of health and wellness, first from a statistical standpoint, in WalletHub's recent list that they put out, they come out with a list every year, healthiest cities, Austin ranked number 14. Now, I was a bit surprised. I thought we were gonna be in the top 10, and in other years, we usually have landed in the top 10 spots, but I personally think it should be much higher. I know so many people in the health and wellness community, chiropractors, people who run clubs here, running clubs, we'll get to that in a second, but they all hands down say Austin is the best city for health and wellness. So here's one thing I love. There's literally something for everybody, depending on where you are on your health and wellness journey. Now, it seems like everywhere you turn, whether it's existed or there's a new one coming, there's cold plunge and sauna studios, there's IV therapy, cryotherapy. Literally everywhere you go, you see different modalities to help you optimize your health. And that is one of the keys here that I've always felt in Austin. Now, another thing that you have to point out is if you're looking for help getting in shape, if you don't have that personal drive, well, there's so many different clubs and groups for free that you can be a part of, whether you're joining a long-term or you're just showing up on a weekend in and around Austin. For instance, on this patio at Whole Foods, I've personally done boot camp workout classes run by local gyms here. You see this all the time. Now, that's why I always say, if you're not getting yourself into shape somewhere else, come to Austin and you'll be inspired by what you see around you. So whether you're looking to do this on a small scale, maybe as a small hobby, or you're looking to level up, you want to be part of the Austin Marathon, the Cap 10K race, the Austin Triathlon, for whatever level you are, Austin's got you covered. So I wanted to cut and quickly take you right down to Lady Bird Lake Hike and Bike Trail, which when I told you, people are outdoors, people are being fit all the time here. Yes, it's very hot today in the summer, so it's a little less crowded than usual. On the weekends, it gets pretty nutty. On the mornings, it's packed here, but this is what the Lady Bird Hike and Bike Trail, it's a paved trail right downtown. It's about 10 miles all the way around, but there's a few different trails that you can hit that are a great 3-mile loop. I often do it with friends, either during the week in the mornings, sometimes on the weekend with a family. You can ride bikes, you can walk, you can run, you can bring your dogs here. So again, when you're talking about being fit, one of the best places to come do that and get some good inspiration is the Lady Bird Hike and Bike Trail. And check out some of the scenery, the views of downtown, and I'll show you right behind me. Up there, the top of that building you can see, that is what's going to be the tallest building, in all of Texas pretty soon. All right, rolling into the next con, we've got to acknowledge the homelessness issue that's taking place in Austin. Now, when you move here, you need to understand that Austin is a capital city, it's a college town, and there are more progressive policies here. However, when you look around the different areas of Austin, you can really find a great mix of different political views. But when it comes to homelessness, downtown is where you really feel it the most. And there have been kind of waves of it improving and maybe being better at times than others, but you got to be aware of it when you're walking downtown, that like any growing city, we're going through some growing pains when it comes to dealing with homelessness. Now, I've recorded podcast episodes with people who have more boots on the ground and who are looking at this issue a little bit closer, anywhere from just freelance journalists that are in some of these homeless encampments, looking at people, talking to people, kind of sharing their views. And I've had city council members on to get their view on what they're doing to help make the problem better. Understand that you're moving to Austin, you're definitely going to deal with it, but that's moving to any major city. All right, this pro has to be probably the most underrated one. And it's the fact that when you live in Austin, your friends and family are always gonna wanna come visit. Now that might scare you depending who in your family. We know the in-laws can sometimes be a bit much, but one of the things I absolutely loved when I first moved here is that so many friends came and spent weekends, usually long weekends, in Austin to explore. Now, right behind me is the El Arroyo sign. Let's start with some sightseeing. So you can pop around town and find so many of the iconic spots that you see sometimes in billboards or sometimes in coffee book tables about Austin. For instance, the El Arroyo sign that changes every day. And a little local tip, you can submit your entry to what you want to be up here. Mine got up here once, it was very exciting, but go check that out. Again, you go on South Congress, very touristy, but you can go over to the I love you so much sign in front of Joe's Coffee, take some photos, or even along South First Street, the Welcome to Austin famous mural. Now, we talked about the food scene in Austin, and that's another reason why people love coming here to visit. I typically love taking people on a little food tour. We make it a big outing, whether it's one day or whether it's multiple days, where we just go out, plan breakfast, lunch, dinner, and usually a few meals or snacks in between. And of course, you cannot forget about desserts. So many amazing options for all those people, even with the dietary restrictions around Austin. And the last thing I'll say on people coming and visiting Austin, you can stay around downtown with so much to do. However, there's a lot of short day trips within 30 to 45 minutes that you can venture out to, whether it's Wimberley or Fredericksburg, or even up north, it's a little bit further, but going to Waco. So many different spots to hit around the Austin area to keep your guests entertained throughout the entire weekend. All right, so there you have it, the good, the bad, the ugly of moving to Austin, Texas. Now the decision's in your hands. Are you going to make the move here? If so, our team would love to help you out. We helped hundreds of families over the last few years move, relocate to the Austin area. Hope this video is helpful. Catch you on the next one.